In Unit 7, we looked at ways of giving advice and suggestions. The standard way to give advice is by starting your sentence with "I suggest" or "I recommend."
I recommend you join our weekly meetings to hear more about how going green can be cost-effective. I recommend you consult our experts to upgrade your house.
Certainly, but then I suggest we see the site of the high-rise project. I have the brochures here.
Notice that when we use the word personally, we add strength to the recommendation, particularly if a doctor or expert is speaking.
I personally recommend pinpointing the triggers to find the source of the problem and acupuncture.
If you want to suggest something based on your own experience, then use
I can tell you firsthand there is ample room for renovations and improvements to that house.
firsthand means from your own experience. Now, this is an interesting alternative way to give advice.
No worries. In these circumstances, it's wise to use a 3D app. How do you envision your home?
Now, by using "in these circumstances, it's wise to do something," the interior designer sounds professional without appearing pushy and aggressive. Now look at this polite way of making a suggestion.
Maybe you should consider blocking off a space for a studio at the expense of the big kitchen area.
As we learned before, it's less direct. Maybe you should consider. A tactic used by the pushy real estate agent is to start the sentence with, "I hope you agree."
I hope you agree that it's preferable to view a wide range of properties on the market.
And then with the "you won't regret it" sales pitch.
You won't regret it if you buy an apartment there with all the latest amenities.
Now, how do you relate to advice or suggestions that don't appeal to you? Well, we saw in the previous unit the use of the word "actually" and then stating your opinion, or in this case, your plans.
Actually, I was thinking of just painting the house green. I'm a big fan of Incredible Hulk.
Another way of not agreeing to a suggestion is by using the phrase, "That's all very well, but..."
It's all very well, but when I play my drums, won't the neighbors file complaints?
And what about this phrase?
I'm not ruling anything out.
It means you are keeping all the options open. And in a response to a suggestion,
I'm not so keen on that type of residence.
which is a polite way of saying you don't like something. And if you're not convinced that this advice or suggestion is for you,
I'm quite skeptical.
which leads us to our visits to the doctor. First of all, the patient explains she is suffering from something and gives a bit more information.
Doctor, I'm suffering from insomnia. At 2 a.m., I'm wide awake and sleep eludes me.
But look at the grammar. Specifically, look at the tenses that are used. The first one stresses that at this moment she is suffering, and the use of the present simple in the second half of the text stresses that it happens every night.
I suffer from allergies.
The second example uses the present simple "I suffer." This stresses the medical condition. It's a constant factor that can't be changed. And the third example uses a different tense.
I've suffered from migraine attacks for years. It's debilitating.
Here we have the present perfect form, which stresses that the migraine attacks have been ongoing for years. And yet another patient says,
I have a problem. I keep losing my voice. Do you have any remedies and tips you can give me?
Notice the form "keep losing" to show that it happens again and again. I keep misplacing my mobile. Oh, you have that problem too? So although in all the examples the patients are suffering from certain symptoms, the choice of the tense gives more information from the point of view of the speaker. When the doctor makes suggestions, notice the passive form is always used.
A heavy meal and alcohol should be avoided.
And the more indirect use with would, I'd suggest. Now, the doctor's very careful not to write off traditional conventional medicine.
I'm not saying that traditional over-the-counter painkillers aren't effective when taken early on.
Again, using the passive from when taken. But notice the use of "I'm not saying," which is a very useful expression to clarify what you're saying, or should I say, what you're not saying.
I'm not saying that traditional over-the-counter painkillers aren't effective when taken early on.
Now, when we talk about pain, there are a number of levels. The worst level is debilitating, when the pain is so strong you can't function. We take painkillers, they kill the pain when we can't tolerate the pain. And if we considerably lessen the pain, we can say we alleviate the pain.
I'm quite skeptical. Are you telling me that just sitting and thinking can alleviate the pain?
Now let's take a moment to explain something fishy.
That idea sounds fishy and suspicious to me.
We'll look at a few very common fish expressions.
I feel like a fish out of water when it comes to design.
A fish out of water is when you feel lost and not in an area or subject you're familiar or comfortable with.
I get it. I suppose when you host people, you will be fishing for compliments?
Now, when you fish for compliments, you try to get people to say nice things about you.
Actually, I'm not that good socially. Behind my back, I get called a cold fish.
When someone is called a cold fish, it means the person is unfriendly or unsociable. There are some really useful expressions in this unit.
Fire ahead.
Okay, so let's say you buy something and it's not particularly special.
Nothing to write home about.
Right, but it's
Exorbitantly expensive.
when something costs a fortune, like $1,000 dinner.
That's preposterous.
Yes, it really is. And another way of saying it is,
Cost an arm and a leg.
but really, when it comes to prices of property,
I'm clueless.
right, I have no idea.
Funny you should say that.
This doesn't mean it's actually funny, but means it's more of a coincidence because you wanted to bring up the subject. Now, when you meet someone new, a great phrase to use is,
I don't believe we've met.
and I think that's about all for this week.
You need to chill and unwind.
Now you're talking. That's a fantastic idea. Until next time.